Gracias,
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the joint press takeout of the Honorable Foreign Minister of Pakistan Shah Mehmood Qureshi and the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary Peter Sehato. May I now request Honorable Foreign Minister Shah Mehmood Qureshi for his remarks, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, members of the press, for coming to this press takeout. I am delighted to welcome my friend, the Foreign Minister of Hungary, who's flown straight from Budapest to Islamabad for this very good meeting that we've had, and will be flying straight back. Coming to Pakistan in a COVID situation shows how keen the Foreign Minister has been, is to further strengthen the excellent political relations we've enjoyed. We've had a very good discussion on our economic relations, on regional issues, on political developments, and both sides are of the view that this is a relationship that can only go further. You know, it's a relationship which has a lot to offer to each other, and we have decided to expand our economic footprint in each other's countries. And I'm happy to share with you that the Minister has made a couple of important announcements. One, that Hungary is willing to provide an $84 million credit line to Pakistani businessmen to promote investments in Pakistan. They've also agreed to provide $50 million as Tide Aid project for 3 projects: fisheries, food processing industry, and animal husbandry. Now, this honestly lays or rolls the ball for the economic partnership that we want to build between our 2 countries. Minister was accompanied by 17 Hungarian companies, top-notch companies, who are interested in working and developing partnerships in Pakistan. And we were able to collect their relevant people from Pakistan for B2B matchmaking. And today, this morning, under the Economic Diplomacy Initiative of the Foreign Office, we had this economic diplomacy session where Hungarian businessmen, Pakistani businessmen interacted, mingled, shared ideas, and we also signed a number of MOUs on dairy production, on cyber security, so on and so forth. I'm also happy to share with you that Hungary has expressed an interest in starting direct flights between Hungary and Pakistan, and they feel that it will enhance our people-to-people contacts and further promote business activity between the 2 countries. I'm grateful to the Minister, and through him to his government, for supporting Pakistan within the European Union for GSP+. Hungary has been a strong supporter, and we are grateful for that support. this window of GSP Plus has been really beneficial for Pakistan because, as you know, since its initiation, our exports into the European Union have doubled. So we really have benefited. And we also exchanged views on FATF. And I was delighted to learn that our views are very, very similar on FATF. Now, how this forum is used and how it ought to be used. We both agree that it's a technical forum, and the objective of this forum ought to be checking money laundering and terror financing, and it should not be used as a political tool, and often it is used as a political tool. We've also agreed that the next round of our bilateral political consultations will take place in Budapest, and the relevant officers will agree to a mutually convenient date, and the minister prefers a physical meeting. We will wait through COVID and get there to Budapest. Be rest assured, our officers will be there, and hopefully this meeting will further promote our bilateral relations. So, and the last thing that I want to point out, that we have had a very good arrangement of cooperation at international forums, the UN and other forums, and we will continue to look at each other's candidatures in such forums and be supportive to each other as we have been in the past. So, Foreign Minister, welcome to Islamabad. Thank you for coming. And by the way, it all started virtually. वो जैसे उर्दू में कहते हैं ना, पहली नज़र में ही भाग गए, हाँ? So we had this virtual meeting, and we both decided through that virtual meeting that we need to have a physical meeting, and we need to promote our. And by the way, the last foreign minister of Hungary that had come to Pakistan was in the year 2006. So just imagine, look at the interval between this meeting. So thank you for coming, sir. Welcome. Thank you.
And may I now request the Honorable Foreign Minister, Peter Fiharov, for his remarks, please.
Good afternoon to all of you, and jó reggelt azoknak, akik otthon néznek minket. We definitely had to get rid of a situation when there was no Hungarian foreign minister visiting Pakistan for 15 years. I'm honored and happy to be the first one to break this unpleasant situation. You know, we in the Hungarian government have understood the economic and security significance of this region. We, the Hungarian government, are absolutely committed when it comes to the fight against terrorism and extremist ideologies. We are committed to the success of the global fight against these two phenomena. It has more reasons, but one of the reasons why we are so interested in that is that both terrorism and extremist ideologies are the #1 root causes for massive illegal migratory flows, which put security, culture and healthcare related risk on Europe and on all other regions as well. We know that this region is directly exposed both to the threat of terror and threat of extremist ideologies, and we all know that in case these two phenomena, these two dangers can be stopped here, then it contributes a lot to the security of Europe. That's why it's obvious, and it is in our core interest, that Europe, the European Union, should assist the anti-terror efforts of Pakistan, especially after the decision of NATO to pull out the Resolute Support Mission from Afghanistan. We must not allow Afghanistan to become a safe haven for terrorism and extremist ideologies after NATO pulling out. That's why we definitely do need the stabilizing role of Pakistan in this region. We know that in case Pakistan is able to protect its own borders, thus protecting itself, then it can ensure the tranquility and stability in this region, which once again has a direct impact on the security of Europe. And we have to recognize and value the very important role played by Pakistan when it was about the Doha peace negotiations and an agreement between US and the Taliban. Thank you for all your efforts you have made there as well. We recognize the very rapid economic growth and development in this region. This region is kind of a growth engine, just like the Central European region in Europe. That's why today we have made decisions in order to improve our economic cooperation for the benefit of both economies and for the countries and for the companies of both countries. First, we have established a credit line at the Hungarian Exim Bank to the extent of $84 million, which is exclusively to serve the enhancement of the business-to-business cooperation between Pakistani and Hungarian companies. Second, we establish a new consular representation in Karachi in order to extend our physical presence in Pakistan. We have 17 business leaders with us here today who have taken part on a business forum and B2B meetings in order to improve business relations. We are ready to provide $50 million for a Tide Aid credit program to be launched here in Pakistan on the field of agriculture, water industry, and food processing, with at least 50% participation of the Hungarian companies in these projects. We provide 200 scholarships on an annual basis for Pakistani students on Hungarian universities. We have signed an agreement today with the Minister of Higher Education on the continuation of this program, and the interest by the Pakistani students have been clearly shown by the fact that this year there were 9,500 Pakistani students submitting applications for these scholarships. We are excited to have the next 200 students on our universities. And we have agreed on accelerating the negotiations on the agreement on mutual protection of investments. We have already received the consent from the European Commission to start the negotiations. The stable basis for our economic cooperation is provided by MOL, the biggest Hungarian company, which is number 2 in Pakistan when it comes to exploitation of oil, number 5 in Pakistan when it comes to exploitation of gas, and is the chief operator of the biggest gas field in Pakistan. During the last 22 years, since MOL has established its presence here in Pakistan, they had 13 successful research operations, and currently they supply 14% of the energy demand of Pakistan. We support MOL to further expand its activities here. We respect your Prime Minister. We respect his commitment towards the protection of nature. We respect his project to plant 10 billion trees. A Hungarian company has been involved in this program with 2 types of trees, which are now among those types of trees which are going to be planted in the upcoming years. Finally, we are staunch supporters of the tight cooperation between Pakistan and the European Union. We have supported the GSP Plus status for Pakistan, and we are going to continue to support this tight cooperation in the future as well. Dear Minister, thank you so much for your kind invitation. I'm happy to catch up after 15 years, and I hope that this relationship will be much more dynamic than it used to be before. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The honorable ministers have agreed to take few questions. So my request would be if you could introduce yourself, your media outlet, and also indicate whom your question is addressed to.
Thank you. This is Mateen Eder representing GTV Network. My question to Hungarian Foreign Minister. How would you promote bilateral trade between Pakistan and Hungary? The volume of trade from Pakistan to Hungary is not up to the mark. As you said, you will be supporting GSP Plus. That is very good. That you are a strong supporter of GSP Plus. But definitely as far as bilateral trade is concerned, what steps could be taken to promote bilateral trade and particularly access of Pakistani goods to the European market, particularly to Hungary? And second, you talked about regional peace and security. That is very hot topic. How would you see Pakistan's efforts for peace and reconciliation vis-a-vis Afghan peace process? There are still certain impediments, hurdles. How these hurdles could be removed? Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay. So when it comes to bilateral trade, I think we have a good basis. Last year, the global trade volume has decreased by 9.2%, but our bilateral trade has increased by 12%, which is good news. Although our figures are still low, basis was low, but the trend is definitely beneficial. The $84 million credit line, which we have established by Exim Bank, can be utilized in three ways. Either carrying out very simple export-import transactions, or forming joint ventures between Pakistani and Hungarian companies, or submitting bids on the tenders of markets of third countries. So on these three main areas, this financial background can be definitely utilized. And today, three Hungarian companies have signed already MOUs with Pakistani companies on technology transfer and on product exchange, which will help the Pakistani products to appear on the Hungarian, thus the European market. And when it comes to the peace and security situation, I want to underline that that we really respect the stabilizing role of Pakistan in the region. We are concerned about the future situation in Afghanistan after NATO troops leaving. That's why we really do attach great significance to the countries in the neighborhood and the region who are strong and stable enough to keep situation in a calm and peaceful way. And that's why I really do believe that Pakistan deserves all kind of support from our side in order to remain stable and to spread this kind of stability or ensure the stability for the entire region.
Anas, please.
Thank you so much, spokesperson. Anas Malik from Capital TV. You mentioned, my question is to the visiting foreign minister. You mentioned a couple of areas of cooperation just now, but there is considerably an area where there can be potential cooperation as well, and that is water resource management. We understand that Hungary is one of the countries that has top-class water management skills. On the other hand, Pakistan is becoming a country that relatively has water scarcity issues. So what assistance can the Hungarian side provide to the Pakistani side? I understand there were 2 MOUs that were signed last year as well. What assistance can the Hungarian side be of to the Pakistani side with regards to this particular issue of water management? And the same question goes to FM Qureshi as well. How can Pakistan benefit from Hungary on this particular issue? Please, thank you.
Well, I did speak to the foreign minister and I told him how important water was for Pakistan's agriculture. The limiting factor today that we face is not land, it's water. And they have expertise. Fortunately, as you pointed out, we do have an MOU between us on water resource management, and we've agreed that our experts should interact with each other to take advantage of their expertise and our need. So very correctly pointed out, this is an area where we can benefit from.
Water management is maybe the most highly developed area of Hungarian technology. The reason for that is that we are a country of rivers and country of springs. So we had to develop our technologies how to make the best use out of this phenomena, because otherwise other kind of natural resources we do not have in Hungary. No oil, no gas. So what we have is water. And that's why one of the free projects in the Tide Aid credit program would be related to water industry. We hope that we can finalize the details as soon as possible. We allocate $50 million for the free projects altogether, and we will discuss the internal distribution of this amount of money among the projects. We have an agreement, a bilateral agreement, based on which our experts exchange ideas pretty often, continuously, and we are going to continue that.
Yes, Amjad.
Thank you very much, sir. My question to the Foreign Minister of Hungary is, the Foreign Minister just mentioned that both the Foreign Ministers discussed FATF-related issues. So how do you see Pakistan's steps it has taken to implement FATF action plan? Thank you.
Look, we have agreed that some international organizations, listings, agencies, which should be purely of technical nature, are sometimes becoming political tools. And unfortunately, we have to witness that the decisions of these organizations, which ought to be purely technical, get some political role and make their decisions on political basis. Imagine there was an attempt to put also Hungary on a grey or blacklist a couple of years ago for money laundering and fighting terrorism, which is, you're laughing at it, and I really do agree with you, it's ridiculous. And obviously such kind of an attempt was not based on a purely professional and technical basis, because it didn't make sense. So then you look for the reasons behind, and they cannot be anything else, just political. So of course we always accept that nobody is perfect. But if we accept that nobody is perfect, means we should not lecture each other because nobody is perfect. So I think it's much more important to bring back the mutual respect to international relations than continuously lecturing each other. And using organizations for political tools. We respect the efforts and the endeavors Pakistan has put into the reforms in this country, but we never like to make opinion on that because it doesn't make sense, because we are not Pakistanis. We are not living here. We are not totally aware of the situation. So we rather leave it to the Pakistanis to decide whether they like it or not, which way things are proceeding or progressing. And that's what we expect from others as well, to leave it to the Hungarians what we would like to do in Hungary, and not to interfere and not to judge and lecture us what we should do.
I'd just like to add that, interestingly, in the last few days, this is the second foreign minister that I've met who was expressing concern on FATF. The last one was the foreign minister of UAE, interestingly, and the foreign minister of Hungary also has said what should be music to Pakistani ears.
So the very last question, please.
Faisal Raza Khan, I am representing 92 News. My question is to both the foreign ministers. Hungary is best at, particularly at science, physics, medicine and all others. Pakistan has initiated science diplomacy from the last 1 year. So how Hungary can contribute, particularly in the wake of COVID-19, Pakistan needs research, innovation and technology assistance. So how Hungary can provide it to the Pakistani academia, research centers, and particularly in healthcare industry, the pertinent research technology so that Pakistan also grasp into the healthcare industry and it can boost its base. This question to both the foreign ministers, please. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, I can share good news with you, and that is today when we signed the MOUs. One of the MOUs that was signed between a Pakistani company and an Hungarian company was on medical microscopes. So the science diplomacy has started working.
You know, we have 3 companies in the business delegation which deal with digitalization of healthcare services and medical equipment on the field of traumatology, urology and pathology. And we all know that digitalization is becoming more and more important in healthcare and in medical operations as well. So these 3 Hungarian companies are ready to provide the products and the technology for the Pakistani counterparts. On the other hand, when it comes to COVID, I have explained to the minister that we are the only European country, only European Union member state, which decided to use Eastern vaccines as well in the vaccination campaign. So our national regulator has issued emergency use authorization for vaccines Sputnik and Sinopharm from Russia and China as well. Based on this decision, we are now #1 in Europe when it comes to the vaccination campaigns. We have a population of 10 million people, and today we are reaching 4 million vaccinated persons, so like 40% of the entire population. And I told your minister that we are very happy to share our experience, because we use 5 different types of vaccine in Hungary, among them 2 Eastern types. We're happy to provide you with our experience. Even if you need any kind of documentation which you would like to look into in order to make your national decisions, we are happy to provide.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.